You're about to listen to another Bonversation. Bonversations feature the most interesting and insightful people in the act realm and beyond. Every episode is made possible by people like you who value and support independent media. Now here's your host, JLB.
It wasn't a tent, it was this magnificent thing.
Okay, our guest today is a cartoonist who dabbles in what some people call conspiracy theory. He's big on internet culture and he actually develops games himself, which is one of the main things I want to talk about. Game development. As you guys know, I have some theories about this place that we live in and its similarities to a game. So we've got lots to discuss. Our special guest is coming to us from somewhere near LA on the west coast of America, Jer, who also goes by the name ZABUJARD, but we're calling him Jer. Welcome to Bonversations.
Hey JLB, thanks for having me. Hey everyone, I'm Jer. My screen name, or my ghost name, or my dead name is ZABUJARD, Cartoons for Tweens, or just ZABUJARD. I invented that name when I was 12 years old, which was exactly 20 years ago, which was exactly 10,852 days ago. And I make cartoons and things. I've made, I think, more games than anyone on the planet. Over 1,150, I think, in the span of like 3 to 20 years, but most of them were within like 3 years. I've made like probably over 4,000 or 5,000 cartoons and videos and things like that. I started making cartoons when I was like 12, and the quality kind of looks about the same as when I started 20 years later. And I started making like vlogs and podcasts and things like that, and games when I was probably about 19 years old. I kind of fit into a niche of people called NEETS. They're unemployed men who, I guess, are allergic to working, stuff like that. I've written a few silly books to get my the philosophy out of my head. I do podcasts still to get all the thoughts out of my head. If I don't get them out, they start getting a bit claustrophobic up there, but not the good kind of claustrophobic. More of an uncomfortable kind of bee buzzing type of feeling in your head you get when you're uncomfortable, I reckon. I'm into, I think if I had a job, which I just quit my job a week ago, but if I had to consider myself as like what kind of job I have, I think I would consider myself as like an artist person, a shaman, a spiritual type of kind of creature, mostly an artist, I think, if I had to pick like a real job, or a stand-up comedian, since I'm pretty good with jokes, but I get too nervous doing stand-up from when I tried it. I'm into the occult, I'm into the spiritual stuff, I'm into making cartoons. I just kind of mix them all together, and I mix them all into one big cartoon package type thing. I think if I had to pick a real super job at the tippy top of the job list, I would say even above an artist, I'm like a storyteller, but even above that, I'm a smile creator. I'm trying to get people to smile, I think, as much as possible. I was in a jazz band for 6 years. I played like trombone, guitar, stuff like that. I haven't touched the instruments in like 10 years. I'm like a kind of a night creature. I would say I've been ever since high school. I think I've been going to bed at 4 in the morning, or 6 or 7 or whatever, waking up at 2, 3, 4 p.m. Kind of that sort of vampire moon type creature mentality energy going on. Creatures of the moon, nocturnal creatures, nocturnal people, whatever that is. And I've got kind of an edgy, I guess, sense of humor or vernacular about me. I'm going to try not to curse too much and things like that, but which I picked up, I think, from 4chan when I was a teenager, and it just never went away.
Well, that's a good start. We've got heaps to work with there. So to give the listeners an idea, you've got a YouTube channel with 500 subscribers thereabouts. You've got a Newgrounds, which I don't really know much about this website. Apparently it's people my age are meant to know about this. I'm 37, by the way. You've got a newgrounds.com with almost 4,000 fans. It says here you've got a BS in psychology Now, is that true or is that part of the shtick?
That's true. Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
You studied psychology. Wow, okay, fair enough. And you refer to yourself as a NEET. Now, you said 32 and you're 32 years old, and that exactly 20 years ago you started with the cartoons or what have you. You don't mean exactly as in it's your birthday today, right?
Right. Not exactly. No.
Because I was going to say, it's a strange way to spend your birthday chatting with John Le Bon for bombersations.com. So we've got heaps to talk about here. So psychology. You went and studied psychology at university, but you didn't pursue that as a career path.
Oh, no, I just did that for my parents.
Okay, fair enough. So to give the listeners an idea, one of the videos on your YouTube channel, it is entitled Swastika, as in the symbol, not the word. It's called Swastika, the real reason why Anne Frank doesn't leave the house anymore. And it is a 90-second avant-garde CGI cartoon mock-up with lots of strange sounds and no real dialogue. And you uploaded that a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to link to that in the show notes, but there's no point me editing that in for the listeners because, like I said, there's no actual discussion going on. It's the kind of thing you have to see and experience. Tell us, what is going through your mind when you sit down to create something like that?
I think maybe I wanted to stand out or something. So maybe when I turned 18 or 19 or something, or no, maybe 21, 23, I was thinking, I love freedom of speech and freedom of anything, really, I guess. And so I try to make the edgiest fucking cartoons you can possibly make, I think, on YouTube. And it's cost me, probably 7 or 8 or 9 YouTube channels because I guess they get a tiny bit too edgy or something like that. So then they just, after 3 strikes, you're out. And this channel I'm on right now, I just got my 2nd strike, so this boy's close to disappearing as well. I'm going to have to make a new one, but Google finally banned my phone number. So I've got to find somebody else with a different phone number than me to make another damn YouTube account after this one disappeared. Because this one got a strike for having an ISIS flag in the last cartoon or something. But anyways, when I sit down to make the cartoons, it's like, I think I have a couple of superpowers, and one of them is coming up with 1 trillion ideas. So I got all these damn ideas coming up with all the time. I don't know if this happens to you, but you're laying in bed and you can't sleep because you got all these damn ideas and stuff like that. So you got to get them out of your head through podcasting or writing them down or doing anything to get them out of your head. I think the edgy stuff, I think it's stupid, but I also think it's really funny. So even if I didn't approve of it, I would still think it's hilarious. Then I would be forced to make cartoons of it. Like, I got this cartoon theory that I don't see anyone else doing very much, where it's like you make the stupidest cartoon possible, and because it's so stupid, that kind of makes it funny to me. Like, you're thinking, there's no way this cartoon is going to be about, like, farting and cum and smegma and Among Us and George Floyd and Minions from the movie Despicable Me, but then you watch it and they're all in there, and then maybe you might find yourself chuckling, because I would chuckle.
Okay, so you say you can't get to sleep due to too many ideas in your head. A lot of people, they can go to bed and they are asleep within minutes. They brush their teeth, they get into their pajamas or whatever, they go to bed, their head hits the pillow, and they're literally asleep within minutes. Man, I'm so envious of those people. Honestly. I don't have much money, but if I did, I'd spend a lot of it to be able to do that. My life would be so much better if I could do that.
I just take sleeping pills every day for like the last 10 years. Do you take sleeping pills?
No, and when I was like 20 or 21, I went to a doctor and I said to him, I can't get to sleep unless I'm really tired. So I end up staying up way too late, and I've tried different things and it doesn't work. I've tried going to bed at a normal hour because they say routine's the most important thing. But if I go to bed at a normal hour, I just can't. I'll lay there for hours and not get to sleep. I need some sleeping pills. And he said to me, I'm not going to prescribe you sleeping pills because you don't want to get onto those now. Not at your age, you don't want to do that. There's a whole bunch of other natural remedies or treatments, whatever, but I'm not going to prescribe you sleeping pills. And I was like, all right then. And I wasn't very happy with him. But I look back now and I'm so grateful. Like, you think about what the medical industry is and how it works. They could have easily gotten me hooked on that crap at that age. And this is before I knew anything, man. So I was a sucker. And he said to me, no, it's not a good idea. And I look back now and I'm very grateful for that. And so I've never even had a sleeping pill in my life, actually. I don't take any medications whatsoever. None.
That's amazing. I had the opposite experience. The doctors put me on so many damn pills. I was on head meds for 8 years straight. Well, my parents forced me on them. They kicked me out, threw me in a whole bunch of rehabs and stuff like that. And I don't do drugs, by the way. It was just because I don't work. They threw me in a whole bunch of rehabs, kicked me out. And then they forced me on head meds for 8 or 9 years. And I think medicine is completely useless, garbage shit, except, well, I mean, the sleepy pills do help. But, I mean, I don't know how much it's messed up my head from using them for all this time. But, yeah, one little monkey fell out of bed and broke its head. Mama called the doctor, and the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. You know, this medicine stuff is...
Well, I'm 37. I was born in 87, so I'm just doing some quick maths here. You must have been born early 90s. But that means you qualify as a so-called millennial. I reckon most millennials, Australians, Americans, Canadians, New Zealanders, English, those 5 countries, most people our age are either on medications, or they were previously on medications, or they've got very close friends who are on head meds, as you call it.
Oh, yeah, I mean... Or I think, yeah, or they fucking, all the people our age are fucking doing weed or something like that, which I'd probably do too, but I think I'm allergic.
It's been legalized in America, right? In most states anyway.
Oh, yeah, you can get it. It's on every street corner here, man.
You know, I'm going to lose a lot of listeners saying this, but that's okay. I can deal with that. I think this idea that weed is harmless or it's medicinal, I think this is one of the greatest psyops that has ever been perpetrated on the masses.
Yeah. I got a family member who's so hooked on this shit. She's been doing it her whole life. She got like 1 billion different bongs. They're gross, man. It's got all that weed fucking juice all over the bongs. They're all dirty.
Well, I'm not trying to defend her, but at least she's doing... If she's bonging on, she's probably actually smoking the bud, whereas a lot of people now, they're eating these gummies, or they're vaping these chemicals. God knows what's in the chemicals. They certainly don't. I think we're going to see over the next 5, 10, 15 years a lot of problems, Chair. A lot of problems. And people will be like, oh, we didn't know. Like, now we know better, but we just didn't know back then. And and by this stage, I'll be 50 or 60. I'll be like, they didn't need to tell us. It was obvious this shit wasn't healthy. You don't need the government to tell you that this shit is not safe or healthy or effective. But at the moment, people think, oh, it's been legalized. You know, and now they're growing it in these special crop farms and they're making it in purpose-built factories. It must be safe. I don't think so, Jay. I think this stuff is I personally know multiple people who've got hooked on this crap. And you know what? Off the top of my head, I can't think of any who were hooked and then got off it for a long period of time. They might have got off it for a while, but usually it doesn't take too long and they're back on it. Very addictive stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. I think honestly, like, I wouldn't be surprised if weed was the thing that kind of messed up my head, because every time I tried it, I had like some schizo nightmare, like on salvia or something. It seemed like I must be. You know, I think some people are really allergic, or they're fighting it off. Their brain's fighting it off. Maybe it's that poisonous to humans or something. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it's nasty stuff.
Don't get me wrong, man. Some people can still lead productive, happy lives. They're just habitual weed users. That's fine. That's cool. Like, I'm sure lots of people out there, they feel it makes their life better. It helps them sleep. I know some people who tell me it helps them sleep. Okay, that's fair enough. All right, whatever. The point I'm making is more broadly, this idea that was put into our heads by TV and by movies, and then eventually by the government themselves, that this stuff is safe or it's okay or whatever, I think it has messed a lot of people up, and it's going to mess more people up, man. Imagine being 18, right? Imagine you're 18 years old, and you're just finishing school, and all of your friends, they're just vaping THC. How are you not going to get involved with that, yeah? And the movies tell you it's cool, TV tells you it's cool, the government says it's legal. There are a lot of kids who will just get swept up in this, you know? The same way that we used to get swept up in alcohol and alcoholism, which is also bad, don't get me wrong. Same thing will be happening with these kids with THC. And what are the long-term effects, man? We don't even know yet. These kids are guinea pigs, man. They're guinea pigs. At least with the alcohol, okay, the generation before us, they drank too much, messed some people up. Some people got hooked, ruined their lives. Okay. Before them, same thing. Okay, going back as far as we have records on this stuff. But vaping THC, what is the evidence base? Yeah? What's the record that we have on this? We don't. This is the first generation of kids who are going to be growing up eating THC gummies and vaping THC vape. And we're going to see what happens to them. And my predictions are not very good, I have to say. I see clouds on the horizon, my friend. I really do. For the Western world, anyway. For the Western world. Other countries not so stupid. But our countries, it's almost like they're one giant guinea pig farm, you know what I'm trying to say? One giant science experiment.
Yeah, it's they tell you it's safe and effective for John Le Bon.
Funny you say that. There's this guy, he's my truth uncle, Crazy Dave J. I don't know if you're familiar with this Crazy Dave J character.
Yeah, he's your uncle?
He's my truth uncle. I've got 3 truth uncles. He's one of them. And all 3 of these guys, they're all in their mid to late 50s now. And they were all here before me. My truth uncle, Marcus Allen, he was the world's biggest skeptic before I came along. And then Ab the Fakeologist, my truth uncle Ab the Fakeologist, he used to have this show called Wake Up with Ab. That's a good play on words. Wake Up with Ab. And now he runs fakeologist.com. And then Crazy Dave J, he's been making videos on YouTube probably since YouTube first launched. When was that? 2005 or 6 YouTube first came out? Anyway, he's been making videos about fake history and all the rest of it. And so I refer to all of them as my truth uncles. And anyway, truth uncle Crazy Dave J, he was so enamored by the Bonversation series, he started his own series called Bongversations. You see there, the little play on words? Bongversations. Yeah. And I thought he would last about 2 or 3 episodes before him and his podcasting partner would quit. But I think they made it to like 20 episodes, something like that. Credit to them for that, yeah. And he's a very proud Crazy Dave J of his weed collection. He says, JLB, don't call it weed, call it cannabis, because weed has negative connotations. I'm like, okay, I can see the point you're making. We generally don't like weeds, so to call this plant a weed, okay, I can see the point you're making, let's call it cannabis. This dude, I'd be surprised if he's gone a single day without cannabis in 30 years. And then you see him, he has these emotional outbursts. He gets very angry at people. He leaves very nasty comments on people's blogs. I'm talking very nasty, by the way. And you think, is this a complete coincidence, or is there some connection there?
Yeah, I got a bud who smokes weed all the time, and he is a similar personality. Could be the weed, dude.
It could be. I used to think that weed was like, it's for peaceful people and happy people and chilled out people who just want to get along with. That's what I used to believe when I was younger. It just took the experience of living and meeting lots of people and knowing lots of people and observing things and seeing the patterns to realize I've been conned. I've been lied to about this. I had been deceived, you see, about the safety and the innocence of this plant, and yeah, I've changed my mind. But anyway, Jay, the good news is, mate, after the last 5 or 10 minutes of talking about that, we've just lost about 80% of our listeners. So it's you, me, and maybe 50 people around the world right now. The other 150, they've gone. They've tuned out. They don't want to hear this. And you know what? I don't blame them, man. I don't blame them. If I was a weed addict, the last thing I'd want to hear anybody talking about is weed addiction. Because what I would do if I was a weed addict, I'd convince myself, I'm not addicted. I don't have a problem. I could quit tomorrow. That's what I would convince myself, you see? And then the voice in my head that says, yeah, but we've been doing this every day for the last 5 years, I would just find a way to shut that voice up. Possibly by smoking more weed, you see? And I would just push those concerns out of my mind. And then some Australian guy who lives in Bulgaria says, weed is not your friend? Forget that guy, man. I just tune out. That's what I would do if I was a weed addict. What say you?
Yeah, I want to say a lot of people are addicted to something. It could be weed or it could be something else. And a lot of the weed people, I feel like if they're not smoking weed, then they're like smoking cigarettes or something to like just smoke something into their lungs and shit. But I don't think smoking anything into your lungs could be that good for you, getting all that weird stuff in your lungs and your brain.
I used to think that too. My generation, probably the same as yours, we were raised to believe, oh, tobacco causes cancer, it's really evil, it's really horrible, blah, blah, blah. And then a few years ago, I heard about some study that supposedly said that smokers have 5 to 10% more testosterone in their bodies. And it wasn't, in terms of the cause and effect, the study seems to indicate that it wasn't that people with more testosterone were more likely to smoke. It was that smokers actually seemed to have more testosterone as a result of smoking. And I was like, well, that sounds like bullshit. So I went and tried to find the study. And I found it. And I read through it. And their methodology and their sample size all checked out. And their results were quite clear. Yeah, 5 to 10% more testosterone in the body of the male smokers. And so I was like, okay, that's interesting. Because testosterone seems to be a good thing for men. It seems to be. Men who are low on testosterone tend to have more mental problems and other physical problems. And this is a huge problem in Western society today for a bunch of reasons. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. At school, they didn't tell us well, here are the problems with smoking, and here are the benefits. They never told us that. It was just, here's all the problems. And it makes you start to wonder, have we been deceived? And then you've got this government. When was the last time the government gave you good health advice on anything? Well, they're the ones who are the most strongly pushing against the use of tobacco, you see. So you start to wonder, is tobacco really as bad for us as they say?
I guess I always confuse, tobacco with the damn cigarettes. You're right. The tobacco plant is probably like healthier than the fucking cigarettes that have all the fucking chemicals in them with a tiny bit of tobacco in there.
Do the cigarettes have all the chemicals in them? Because you'll hear people say, oh, tobaccos have hundreds or thousands of chemicals, and it's like, okay, which ones? What's in them? Nobody seems to know that. Everyone seems to know that tobacco has all these chemicals. Almost nobody seems to know what the chemicals actually are. And why would there be? Why would the tobacco companies add hundreds or thousands of chemicals? Like, I looked into this once, and apparently, they do add, some of these tobacco companies do add some chemical to make it burn slower. Okay, that's one. What else? Like, when you think through this stuff, Jer, a lot of it doesn't really make any sense. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, there's a Christian chicken place near me. I don't know if you have Chick-fil-A in Australia.
I don't know if they do either. I haven't been there for 6 years.
Oh, shit. Well, yeah, I mean, they're a Christian chicken place. They're a big chain here in America, and they like their little chicken burger. Their chicken has like over 200 ingredients just in the chicken. It doesn't even make sense why you. I mean, that seems like way too many.
Over 200 ingredients, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, I would be curious to know. Okay, so some chemicals they'll have like 2 or 3. What do they call them? Preservatives or emulsifiers or whatever. Like 2 or 3, or maybe like a few colours in there as well. Let's think through this. There are some things you can understand why they'd add them. But really, hundreds? I'm dubious about that. Now, first of all, I did Google, is there a Chick-fil-A in Australia? It says here that there is in Melbourne. But I didn't know that until just now. So I wonder when they opened. So apparently there are Chick-fil-A's in Australia. I'm not sure how many. I'll tell you this, man. I remember when the first Krispy Kreme opened in Melbourne, but it wasn't in Melbourne. It was in the southeastern suburbs, which is where I'm from. And I remember my friends and I, we had either one of us or some of us had just turned 18. So this must have been like 2005, right? Or thereabouts. And we decided, because there was like a lot of hype around it, like commotion. So we thought, oh yeah, we know where that shopping centre is. Let's just go there. So we went there one night, and there was this massive queue. We're talking, it must have been dozens of cars. And we're like, holy shit, like this, all of the promotion has really worked, because look at all these people coming to Krispy Kremes on opening day. And then it hit us. The queue wasn't a couple dozen cars. It was hundreds, because the car queue had spiraled into this extensive car. So the shopping centre car park, by this time it was evening, so there weren't many shoppers. The car park itself, that wasn't as well lit, had cars snaking in a queue. So we thought, wow, look at, 20 cars or 30 cars. That's a lot of people waiting to get donuts. That was nothing. The actual queue was 100, maybe a couple hundred cars that were all lined up waiting for their Krispy Kreme donuts. Do you see what I'm trying to say here? So we thought it was wild that there was, I can't remember if it was 20 or 30 cars that you could actually see in the lit part. Then as we got closer, no, it wasn't 20 or 30 cars. It was dozens, snaking all the way, probably a couple hundred cars. On opening night at the Narre Warren Krispy Kremes in southeast Melbourne. True story.
Some people say the cars are still there to this day. It's just an infinite amount of cars. We got Crispy Boys here too, the Krispy Kremes. Man, that place is tasty as hell. You remember during COVID, they said here in the States you get a couple of shots and they give you free donuts here at Krispy Kremes.
That was the story, that some people were getting free donuts for taking the injections. That was a story, yeah.
For many, it was a moment to celebrate.
I don't think I can overstate how excited we are right now.
Krispy Kreme announcing this week a free donut every day this year for anyone who could show their COVID vaccination card.
Every single person who goes out and gets that vaccine brings us that much closer to a post-COVID America, which we're really excited about. And so if we can show our support with a little tasty treat, then that's what we want to do.
But for some, the idea was anything but sweet. Amid the online celebration from donut lovers, some pretty sour remarks. Those against getting the vaccine calling it discrimination. Looks like you were part of indoctrination of American citizens, wrote one. Another writing, I can't believe people actually fall for this propaganda. Krispy Kreme addressed vaccine hesitancy, calling it a highly personal decision and offering a free donut and coffee to everyone on Mondays until May 24th. But then some started weighing in on donut weight gain. One doctor writing a donut a day could result in 15 extra pounds by the end of the year. Others questioning the heart health of the deep-fried treat. For Kate Bernick, who wrote an opinion essay about the criticism for NBCNews.com, it's fat-shaming, plain and simple.
I think for me, it wasn't about the donut. I think that it's just another opportunity to pass judgment on someone's choices or the way someone looks.
Krispy Kreme is not the first company to make COVID-related offers. New Jersey gym owner is offering free memberships to people who don't get the vaccine. Others are offering those who are vaccinated discount beer, popcorn, or arcade tokens. Krispy Kreme says there was never an intention to stir debate.
Just last week in St. Patrick's Day, I was thinking about this. We gave a donut away to everyone in green. That did not make us against the color orange.
COVID expert Dr. Ashish Jha offering his take on the Krispy Kreme controversy, tweeting, "If that sweetens the deal for you to get vaccinated, I'm all in. Pandemic, people, pandemic." But in a nation so often split these days, it seems even a donut can cause a divide. For today, Kristen Dahlgren, NBC News.
Putting the debate aside, looking at those donuts makes you ready for breakfast.
I was going to say, I don't want to hear what America thinks of me promising my daughter's French toast this morning.
You know, I never fell for this idea that the injections are going to cause a mass die-off. I never fell for that. I fell for other things, but I never fell for the mass injection die-off. Back in 2021, 22, did you think that, these people get the injections, there's going to be a mass die-off?
I think, man, it's hard to say because everybody I know and every family member I know except me, got injected with the dog shit poison. But I think subconsciously I kind of did because all the conspiracy boys on the internet seem to say stuff like that. But at the same time, I was thinking, well, I hope that doesn't happen because fucking everybody I know's got the damn thing in their body. But
Oh, really? I was kind of hoping it would happen. You know what I'm trying to say? I was kind of hoping it would. A small part of me was like, you know what? Maybe the next 20 or 30 years of my life will be more fun and entertaining if the people who got this crap do all drop dead, or at least a large proportion of them. There was part of me that kind of was hoping, but I knew I was hoping against hope. As far as I was concerned, it was just not going to happen, some mass die-off. But so many people in this corner of the internet, they were convinced, these injections are going to kill you, it's a ticking time bomb, blah, blah, blah. And how many of them have, in the 3 or 4 years since then, come out and said, you know what, I was wrong. I fell for it. I rarely hear people say, you know what, that thing that I believed, I was wrong. And here's why. Almost never happens.
Well, I think they would just say, well, look, JLB, it's still going to happen. Just wait till the 6G comes out and then the oxide shots in their blood turn them into zombies and stuff. It'll prove that I'm right.
I think with a lot of them, yeah, they're still going to say, just a few more years. You remember how it was 2 more weeks? But now it's just, 2 more years, then we'll see the die-off. I even know people who are trying to claim the die-off is happening, and I'm like, where? Where are these people who are dead? Who? I look around, I don't see a mass die-off. I speak to people back in Australia. They don't report any increase in deaths. Seriously. I don't come from the most healthy part of the world. Some of these people should have died due to other reasons. They're not dying. If anything, maybe the injections are like some kind of super vitality agent, actually.
Really? No, what about all the young people who died from it, like the athletes and all that shit?
How do we know that they were dying from the injection?
Because young athletes, they don't usually just randomly die and stuff.
See, I'm not so sure about that. Let me tell you a story. I used to play football, Australian football, and I played at one club in under 18s, so like 16, 17, almost 18-year-olds. And I remember there was this dude, the position that I played, I was a defender, and I would have to play against the big forwards. And I was always smaller than them, because I'm not that tall. I'm like 5'11", right? And I'm not a heavy 5'11" either. But the team I played in, we didn't have many big defenders. So somehow I ended up playing against the freaking huge forwards. I was always undersized. And I did my best. And one time we played against this team, and their forward was big, and he was good. He was a good footballer. I didn't like this guy, because he Let's just say we didn't get along very well on the field. Anyway, we won that game, by the way, and I beat him too in a 1-1 contest. Like, I beat him in the position, and we beat them as a team, so I'm quite happy about it. But I didn't like that guy. Anyway, I find out over the off-season, because I went to a different club. We moved, so I went to a different club. I find out that guy has gone to the club that I used to play for. You know how I found that out? I found that he was dead. On the pre-season training camp, because these clubs, they have pre-season training camps. So that guy who I played against at under 18 level, he'd been recruited to that club for the senior team the next year. On the pre-season trip, they have these like pre-season camps where you go away for a couple of days with the rest of the boys from the team. And during the day, you're running up sand hills, you're doing all these push-ups, pull-ups, whatever. And then at night time, you're bonding over drinking. That's basically the gist. At least back in my day, that's how it used to be. So this dude, on the pre-season trip, collapses, dies suddenly from a heart attack, apparently. He was 19 years old. 18 or 19 years old. And he was fit, he was strong, he was healthy. Like I said, he was a good footballer. And then on a pre-season trip, drops dead. True story. And this was back in like the mid-2000s, man. And now that's just one anecdotal story. It's not proof of anything beyond that. But this idea that, oh, young athletes don't die, it wasn't until the injections, that's bullcrap. That's not true. Young people have died under mysterious circumstances for at least as long as I've been alive. And probably much earlier than that as well.
Yeah, that sounds about right. There was a young athlete, I think, on our fucking high school football team who died of, I don't know, a heart attack, I think like you said too, but I think they said maybe he was on steroids or some shit.
Well, this guy that I played against, I don't know if he was or if he wasn't. All I know is he was young, he seemed fit, he seemed strong, and next thing he drops dead in tragic circumstances. And so my point is just that during that period where, oh, maybe that footballer collapsed because of the injection, or that athletics person is dead because of the injection, nobody ever had any evidence to present the cause and effect that they were trying to claim. We don't know why these people collapsed or why they died. We don't know. And we certainly don't know it was the injection. And here we are 3-4 years later. Where's the mass die-off? Where is it? These people got my hopes up. They got my hopes up, Chair. They got my hopes up that one day all of these idiots would all be dead because they took this stupid injection. It all came to nothing. What an anticlimax.
What about like a tiny little baby die-off? Do you think that happened, or like pretty much none at all, you're saying?
As far as I can see with my eye, it's the same thing with the so-called virus in the first place. Where are all the sick people? Where are all the dead people? It wasn't happening anywhere in real life. It was just happening on TV, on the news. That's where all the sick and dead people were. On the news and on the social media feeds from the news. But in real life, where's all the sick people? Where's all the dead people? Where's all the people collapsing due to some virus because some guy ate it bad in China? I'm not seeing it with my eyeballs. I never saw it with my eyeballs. So that's why I didn't believe it. And then a year later, oh, now we've got these injections. And people are saying, oh, there's people dying from that. I'm like, where? My eyeballs are not seeing this, not in real life. Oh, this truther on Twitter or on YouTube or this. Okay, great. That's just a story to me, just like the people collapsing in China. They're stories. As far as I'm concerned, they're probably bullshit. So to answer your question, the baby's dying off? No. Not in my reality. But here's the weird thing. I speak to a lot of people. I converse with a lot of people in real life and online. And I have had a number of people who I trust, I've got no reason to think they're lying to me, tell me that they know multiple people who've died after the injection. So it seems like in their reality, people are dying from the injection. And again, I've got no reason not to trust these people in their stories. These people have no reason to lie to me as far as I'm aware. And I've known some of them for many years. So in their reality, people are dying, but not in mine. Now that's very strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it's strange.
Well, you tell me, how about in your reality? In the people that you know in your location, or the people that you know from school, or from the job that you used to work, or family, friends, or whatever, do you see people dying off?
No, no one.
That's strange. A once-in-a-lifetime pandemic, and then a once-in-a-lifetime killer injection, and we don't know people dying.
That is weird.
The more you think about it, the weirder it gets. We've got lots to talk about here, Jay. I've got lots I want to ask you about what you said earlier on. The NEET thing, not in education, employment, or training. There is an entire subculture around NEETS that only seems to be growing, especially because right now there's a generation of people who, let's be honest, their education wasn't the best. Some of them wasted many years at university learning what? And then the jobs that maybe they were going to get, well, now there's people coming in on these visas, taking those jobs, supposedly, reportedly. And more people are like, why would I bother getting a job, man? I can get a job, but I won't get a wife and a house and kids. So what's the point? See, once upon a time, that was the motivation. Go and get a job, work, get a mortgage, get a house, get a wife, get kids, live the life, live the normal life, right? A lot of young men are like, well, I could go and get a job now and work hard, and I'll never have my own house. I'll never have a wife and kids. So what's the point? So they're dropping out. That's what people are saying. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. We'll come back and talk about that. You mentioned that you tried stand-up comedy at a point in time. I want to talk about that. You mentioned that you're into the occult. Then we'll really get into some juicy stuff. We've got so much to talk about. But first, we have to go to a quick break from some of our sponsors here at Bombersations.com.
I like my burgers zesty fried.
And I like my chicken wraps long and wide.
Throw in some cola, ultra size.
And don't forget a pound of crispy fries.
A family meal for just $29.95.
Support big fast food and you'll feel alive.
Hey, big fast food, do it your way.
Mate, the game's on this weekend. Are you coming over to watch and have a barbecue?
Nah, I'm going over to Danny's to watch, and you should come too.
What? Danny's place? His TV is no good.
Haven't you heard, mate? Danny's binned his old 40-inch HD he bought 4 years ago and got himself a brand new 65-inch OLED Ultra HD TV. It's so crisp and clear you feel like you're out there playing the game yourself.
Oh, wow. Did he get it from Big Tech Depot?
Of course. Danny voted with his wallet and supported Big Tech, like we all should.
In that case, I'll see you at Danny's. So you've got the good news and you have a special little one on the way. You know what you need to do now. Find out if it's a boy or a girl. At Big Radiation Clinics, we have the latest in 4D sonogram technology to let you see every nook and cranny of your bundle of joy. More often than not, you'll even get to see your baby kicking and squirming while we take a peek. It's almost as though they can feel the radiation cooking them in real time. So come on down to Big Radiation Clinics and see the baby today. Here, we see a starving African child. His village has no running water, and food is scarce. With World Vision, you can feed him for just $1 per day. Here, we see an independent researcher and content creator living in some little town in Eastern Europe. Times are tough. Now that the pandemic is over and the world has gone back to normal, nobody cares about the truth anymore. He hasn't been able to afford any H or B for months now. You can feed his hedonistic appetite for just US 70 cents per day. Don't let this truth artist starve. Nourish him. Join JONLEBON.com today.
For many, it was a moment to celebrate.
I don't think I can overstate how excited we are right now.
Krispy Kreme announcing this week a free donut every day this year for anyone who could show their COVID vaccination card.
Every single person who goes out and gets that vaccine brings us that much closer to a post-COVID America, which we're really excited about. And so if we can show our support with a little tasty treat, then that's what we want to do.
But for some, the idea was anything but sweet. Amid the online celebration from donut lovers, some pretty sour remarks. Those against getting the vaccine calling it discrimination. Looks like you were part of indoctrination of American citizens, wrote one. Another writing, I can't believe people actually fall for this propaganda. Krispy Kreme addressed vaccine hesitancy, calling it a highly personal decision, and offering a free donut and coffee to everyone on Mondays until May 24th. But then some started weighing in on donut weight gain. One doctor writing a donut a day could result in 15 extra pounds by the end of the year. Others questioning the heart health of the deep-fried treat. For Kate Bernick, who wrote an opinion essay about the criticism for NBCNews.com, it's fat-shaming, plain and simple.
I think for me, it wasn't about the donut. I think that it's just another opportunity to pass judgment on someone's choices or the way someone looks. It's just another opportunity to pass judgment on someone's choices.
Yes, those are our friends over at Big Radiation Clinics. If your wife or girlfriend is pregnant, then congratulations. Now you know what you need to do. Take that woman down to the Big Radiation Clinics and have them irradiate the hell out of that baby to find out if it's a boy or a girl. JLB, we have to find out if it's a boy or a girl. We've got to know. And then I say, why do you have to know? Well, because you just do. You can't wait 6 or 7 months. You can't wait. You know, when the baby's born, you're going to be responsible for it for at least 18 years. You can't wait 6 or 7 months to find if it's a boy or a girl. Oh, no, we need to know now, JLB. Okay, then fine. Go down to my friends at the big radiation clinics and have them radiate the hell out of that innocent baby. It must be safe. They wouldn't let you do it otherwise. So we're here with Jer coming to us from Los Angeles. And he's got that kind of like chill Los Angeles, shall we say, stoner dude vibe to him. But he says that he's not on the herbs, doesn't do it, he's allergic to it, even though it is the done thing these days. He is an artist. He's a video game maker. He is a proud NEET. He likes to think of himself as a shaman, a stand-up comedian. And he's into the occult, so who knows where the rest of this conversation is going to go. Let's throw it to him there. Jay, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
I've got to ask you, man, how did you first find my channel? Like, you got in contact with me and said, I've got this channel of mine. I went and checked it out, and we organised this interview that we're doing right now on February 13, 2025, Conversation number 67. But how did you first come across my material?
I seriously have no idea. Your stuff is so obscure that I have no idea how I even found you.
Okay, that's fair enough. What do you think about my theory that so-called ultrasound might not be as safe and effective as people have been led to believe?
Oh, man. It makes sense. I mean, all those x-rays and all that stuff, I mean...
It's not, that's the thing, it's not x-rays. It isn't x-rays. It's not, like x-rays are what we call ionizing radiation. Ultrasound is non-ionizing radiation. So you've got some leftover chicken in the fridge. You're like, I don't want to eat cold chicken. I'm going to warm it up. So you put it in the microwave oven. Well, that microwave oven also emits non-ionizing radiation. Imagine if someone came to you and they said, hey, see my baby here? He's a bit cold. I'm going to warm him up. And they opened up the microwave oven door. You'd be like, hold on, what are you doing? And they're like, I'm going to warm him up. You go, hold on. That's your newborn son. You can't put him in the microwave oven. They're like, why not? And you're like, because it's bad for him. And they'd be like, why? It's non-ionizing radiation. You'd be like, yeah, but you just don't do that. And if they said to you, no, you don't understand. It's non-ionizing radiation. I think I can put the baby in the microwave oven. You'd think this person is crazy. You'd probably be tempted to physically restrain them, take the baby, call up the relevant agencies. This baby doesn't belong with this so-called human, this so-called adult, this so-called parent. If that exact same parent said, oh, I'm pregnant again, we're going down to big radiation clinics to find if it's a boy or a girl, you'd be like, oh yeah, off you go, good luck with that. Can't wait to find out if it's a boy or a girl. They're both non-ionizing radiation, the microwave oven and the so-called ultrasound. Now, one of them, we all agree, don't put the baby in the microwave oven, just don't do it. That's one thing you don't do. Oh, lay there while some person with a device is scanning the belly, and then up on the screen comes the images. Oh, that's totally cool. That's totally fine. Yeah. We live in strange times, Jay. We really do.
Maybe it's just called ultrasounds, and it's just playing nice little sounds, and then that's how they know.
Well, that's what they call it. They call it sound, which is very clever. Would you like to guess how many animals on Earth can hear the frequencies that are used in so-called ultrasound?
Two types of animals.
That's a good guess. You're pretty close. You're only off by 2. Do you want to take one more guess?
That was 4.
Nothing can hear this stuff. Nothing. And it's like that old expression. If a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, if there's a device that is called sound, but nothing can hear it, is it really sound? And so my theory is they call it that because it sounds so innocent. Oh, it's just sound. It's just sound, right? If they called it the radiation device, imagine if they called it ultra radiation. Do you think some of the normies might start to ask some questions? I think some of them might. Some of them might start to think, hold on, is this really necessary? Is it really safe? They might start to ask these questions. Oh, but it's just sound, you see. That's what I think's going on.
It really bugs you, huh?
Well, it used to, but you know what I'm trying to do, man? I'm trying to make peace with the world, and I do think I'm making some progress. I think I'm reaching a stage in my life where I'm like, well, there are things about this world that don't make sense to me, I don't agree with, I don't approve of. If I was in charge, that would not be allowed. But I'm not in charge. I don't get any say in any of this at all. And if I want to be happy, I just have to make peace with it. And then if the big man does come back and he's like, all right, I'm back, time to fix this place up, I'll be like, hey, listen, bro, judge me if you want, but I did try to tell these idiots to stop radiating the babies. So hopefully that's enough to get me out of the one-way trip to hell. Same with the people mutilating the babies. I'm like, these people mutilating the babies, they would want to pray to whatever they believe in. In most cases, they believe in nothing. But if they believe in anything, they want to pray that the big man doesn't come back. Because if he does, tipping tables is the last thing that these people have to worry about. Like, it's happening as we speak. You know, there are people mutilating babies right now as we speak. Literally, as we say these words, there is some baby somewhere being strapped down to a chair, kind of like a chair, kind of like a baby car seat. They're being strapped down to it, and someone is mutilating their sexual organs. Yeah, and that's just considered normal.
I was saying, I miss my foreskin. I want it back, dude.
Yeah, well, it's an unfortunate thing what happens in America. Apparently, it's on the decrease, apparently. But no, you'll never get yours back, man. It was sold for profit. So goes the story. There are people who profit from that stuff.
Dude, they don't do that in Australia? Is that just an American thing?
It's mostly an American thing, man. It does happen, but to a much lesser degree in Australia. But I know in America, it's the one non-Muslim country where this happened. Muslim countries top the charts in terms of the prevalence of it. Outside of Muslim countries, America is right at the top. And I don't know why. People try to blame, is it Kellogg? I think people try to blame some Kellogg guy who invented some cereal. Yeah, I don't know about this. I think they've scapegoated Kellogg. I think he's been scapegoated. I think there are other explanations for this stuff. But you know, we're still in the first hour, and I try not to go too controversial in the first hour. I think I've failed today, Jay. I think I've gone right off the deep end. People are like, JLB, I'm just driving to work, man. I'm on the train on the way into work, and you're talking about radiation, mutilation. You're making somewhat vague references to Jesus coming back and basically killing everyone. This is not good stuff to listen to on a Thursday morning. And I'm like, sorry, but this is the Bombasations. So let's get back to Jer over there. Yeah, so NEETism, not in education, employment, or training. Tell us about this.
Yeah, I think there's like a... I don't know if it's growing. It seems almost stagnant, but maybe it is growing, like you're saying, like a fucking cancer or something. But there's all these young men and maybe women too, and you're right. They're over jobs because the housing market is it's fucking. The jobs here kind of suck unless you can be like an engineer or a coder boy, a computer boy. I don't know. If I was a young person today, I would just be like, oh, I'm just gonna have a career. I'm gonna be a YouTuber or something. I don't even know. If you don't go to school to get like the badass jobs like engineer or something, then it almost feels like it's totally over for you. It's over for you. So we got all these people, unemployed people hanging out, chilling, taking in the vibes, getting a vibe check, and going with the flow and stuff like that. And that's what NEETS are all about. They're about. Although I think a lot of them probably have mental illness too, so maybe they don't go to school, maybe they don't go to work because they got anxiety or something like that. Maybe from the ultrasound machines you're talking about, maybe all these people got anxiety for some reason or another. And I don't know, it's crazy.
Well, according to the stats, I'm just looking at this right now, the proportion of youth, that is people aged 15 to 24, so a little bit younger than us, the proportion of the youth who can be qualified as NEETs, in Australia, it's between 5 and 10%. In America and Canada, 10 to 15%. In New Zealand, 10 to 15%. In England, 10 to 15%. So let's go with the more conservative estimate there. Let's just go with 10%. 1 in 10 of the youth, 15 to 24, 1 in 10 is not studying, not working, not training. So the question is, what are they doing, Jay? What are these people doing?
Hopefully they're doing something fun and productive, or just fun. Maybe they're making TikTok memes or something, or learning like dances on TikTok, learning the newest dances. Maybe it's better than working that they're all just dancing around and prancing around instead of going to work. Maybe humans were just meant to dance.
Well, I do wonder sometimes, what exactly were we meant to do? Is there a purpose to all of this that is being corrupted? Was there something like that we meant to be doing? Hanging out in tribes or something? I think about this sometimes. Was there actually something we were supposed to be doing? And if so, why aren't we doing it? And what's the result of that? For example, man, I live in this apartment complex, 6 stories, and next to this building is another apartment complex that is the same size, On the other side, there is another apartment complex, 6 stories. Most of this city is actually 6-story apartments, or thereabouts. Between 4 and 8 stories, mostly about 6. And we all live in these little... It's kind of like a beehive. But bees, so far as I can tell, they're social, they're all in a group. Us, we're all compartmentalized. There's one family there, one single dude over here. I live in this apartment by myself. We're not... it's kind of like we're like bees, but we're not. You know what I'm trying to say? We're all separate. Is that how it's meant to be? Yeah? All these people who go to jobs, and it's like an open office space, open plan office space. There's 50, 60, 70 people in this office. These humans don't give a shit about any of the other humans that they spend 8 hours a day with. They're just all there because some other guy's paying them money. Some guy is paying all of these people to be there. They're paying this guy to do this girl to do that, blah, blah, blah. Other than the fact they're all getting money to be there, they got no business around each other. But they're spending 8 hours a day. And you think to yourself, is this really how it's meant to be? Maybe it is. I don't know.
It seems like too artificial and superficial for me for this to be like the real way of like humans, how humans should be. I don't know. Is that how it feels for you?
I think about this, but I haven't come to any firm conclusion. I've got this theory that actually this whole place that we live in has only existed for a couple hundred years. That's my theory. I know that sounds crazy. I know, trust me. The thing that I just told you, I wouldn't normally tell the normies. Even if they bugged me. They're like, oh, I heard you've got a YouTube. What do you talk about? I'll be like, just random shit. You know what I mean? I try and change the subject. But if they really pressed me, I might say, well, I have this theory that the diamond that people spend $5,000 on to impress their woman or to whatever, that's not really from the ground. It was just made in a Chinese laboratory. I've got a theory about it. Like, I'll talk about specific examples of certain hoaxes. I generally won't tell them, well, this place where we live, I think it's a couple hundred years old maximum. Yeah, I think this is all some kind of artificial construct. And all of our history is completely fake. And it's some kind of gigantic video game, some kind of experiment, some kind of reality TV show that we're not privy to. I don't really know what's going on here, but I don't think we've been here for thousands of years. I don't tell them that. Why would I? Even most of the so-called awake people can't handle that. Oh no, JLB, we've got these pyramids are thousands of years old, man. They're like all angled at the stars, and maybe we think the aliens came and created the humans. Seriously, the so-called awake people, most of them, God love them, God bless them, yeah. Like I wish them all the best, but it's a disaster.
I like that. I've never even thought about. I always thought this place was at least 1,000 years old, or I always thought maybe, I don't know, around like 10,000 or 5,000. But
really, what makes you think that? I'm not trying to be a smart ass. And whatever you say, I'm not going to try and argue with you. I'm genuinely curious. Like, where can we here?
Oh, the pyramids. If you look at the pyramids, they look all old and dusty and dirty. They look like at least like 1,000 years old because they look all dirty and dusty and stuff,
Bro, if you came and visited Plovdiv, you'd swear that some of these buildings are hundreds of years old because of how shit they look. It's just because they haven't been maintained. The weather can really mess things up, man. The weather, just the weather. If you're not constantly repainting or resurfacing some of these structures, it only takes a couple of decades and they start to look like absolute trash.
Have you seen The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy when they start painting over all the rocks to make them look old and stuff like that again?
No, I haven't seen it.
It's like a silly book and a movie. The guy who wrote it, he was born on my birthday, and he wrote this silly book.
I know of it, and I did see the BBC version, so not like the Hollywood movie, but I saw the BBC version, just the clip where they talk to the big supercomputer, and they come to get the answer, and then he says 42, and they're like, 42? And he's like, yes. This took me a long time to calculate, or something like that, right? I'm vaguely familiar with the, at least the ending of the story. You see, 42 is very significant to me. It's arguably the most significant number because of... Have you ever heard of this thing called the sync books?
No.
They changed my life. I read both of them. In fact, I've got both of them in front of me right over there, sitting on top of my refrigerator. They're the only books that I travel with everywhere I go. And I read them some years ago now, and they changed my life. For better or for worse, I'm not too sure. But certainly they changed my life. And one of their things is that 42 is some special number. 42 is some special number. To cut a very long story short, I think they're right. I think they're onto something. I think there's something significant about this 42. And there's a... What do you think about the Bible? What's your opinion on the Bible? This book that supposedly has all these truths that were passed down from God or disciples or some shit. What do you think about this Bible book?
I think I kind of like it. Maybe. I think I tried to be a Christian for 10 years, then I converted to Judaism, and then now I'm like into witchcraft and stuff, but I read a lot of it. So I think it's fun, I guess, or interesting.
All right, I'm writing that one down. By the way, I've got a whole piece of paper full of notes from what you've said. So did you just say that you started off Christian, and then you converted to Judaism, and now you're into, what did you say, magic?
Yeah, magic, witchcraft, yeah, exactly.
Witchcraft. Goodness gracious me, we're going to have to come back and talk about that. What could possess a man to want to convert to Judaism?
My friend is Jewish and he got me into it, and then his teacher is like the smartest Jew in the entire universe. People think he's the Messiah. If people are listening on TikTok...
Is his name Jesus? Who's this guy?
No, it's not. He's on TikTok. His name's Restoration of the Breach. He's also on YouTube. He's the smartest Jew since Moses. I'm not kidding. If people want to check him out.
Restoration of the Breach. We're going to come back and talk about that in the second hour. We've got so much to talk about, my friends. Normally what I do is I shut up and let the guest speak in the first hour. But today I felt like there was a few sections of dead air, which I will remove for the listeners. So if you're thinking to yourself, man, this is a weird conversation. Normally JLB shuts up in the first hour and then comes to life in the second. Not today, folks. I've been talking a lot. But I've got a lot of notes as well, so we'll come back and talk about so much. The reason I ask about the Bible is because there's a passage, Matthew 7:6. And if you multiply 7 by 6, you'll of course get 42. Matthew 7:6 says, and this is the new JLB version of the Bible. So these are my words, not the exact words in the King James Version or anything like that. But Matthew 7:6 says, cast not ye pearls before swine, lest they trample them, and then turn again and attack you. In other words, give not what is holy unto the dogs. Don't give the good stuff to the swine, basically. And I think there's some truth to that, man. You've got to know who you're talking to and what they're capable of and what they deserve and what they value. And if they are just regular peasantry, then only give them what you would give a peasant. On the other hand, if you're dealing with someone who does value something a bit more, you can give them more. And hopefully someone comes to give you something, you're worthy of it. And what you're giving other people, they're worthy of it. But when there's a mismatch, when there's an imbalance, if someone's trying to give pearls to swine, he might soon find himself attacked. And on that note, dear listeners, let me know in the comment section below. What did you think of this first hour of the Bombersations? If you want the second hour, you've got to go to bombersations.com and pay a little bit of money. And in return, you get access to all the Bombersations second hours. This is episode number 67. There is literally more than 100 hours of exclusive content waiting for you at bombersations.com, including the second hour of this chat that I'm about to have with Jer from LA, the cartoonist who dabbles in conspiracy, internet culture. He's a game developer. We'll talk about that. 32, he's a NEET. He quit his job last week. I'm going to ask him about that as well. He's an artist, a shaman, a stand-up comedian. I've done a bit of stand-up comedy myself, actually. I've got quite a story to tell, and I want to hear your story as well. He's into the occult. He says that he's a storyteller, a smile creator, and he used to play in the jazz bands, but he gave up 6 years ago. We're going to talk about that. He says that he loves freedom of speech. He says one of his superpowers is coming up with ideas. He can't sleep at night. He's got so many ideas. I can relate to that. I really can. He went from Christianity to Judaism to magic and witchcraft. I'm going to put a circle around that. I want to hear about this witchcraft stuff. What else have we got here? Oh yeah, Restoration of the Breach. Let's talk about the smartest Jew in the world. I've never heard of him. I'm not going to hear about him in the second hour. But for the first hour, Jer, you get to say whatever you like to the public audience. Some people will join us for the second hour, but some people won't. So for those who won't, say whatever you like to say. I'll put links to your material, to your, what's this called again? Newgrounds.com? Have I got that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an art.
I'll put a link to your Newgrounds, to your Twitter, and to your YouTube. I'll put links to everything in the show notes below. Anyone who's interested can go and check that out. But in terms of this particular part of this particular call, Jer, the floor is yours, my friend. Take it away.
Hey guys, it's Jer again. Thanks for listening to me and John talk about interesting stuff. And check out if you're into art, if you're into edgy, strange art, if you're into being weird, if you're interested in feeling the vibes and checking the vibes and getting a vibe check and chilling out and going with the flow, if you're into that stoner, California, surfer culture, live, laugh, love to surf type of attitude, then check me out on Newgrounds, or just subconsciously remember the name ZABUJARD for the rest of your life, because I'll probably get banned everywhere. And then it'll pop up in your head. You'll think, oh, I better check up on what Jer is doing. And that's about it for me.
You've been listening to Bonversations. We appreciate and thank all of the supporters who make this possible. Now have yourself a lovely day.
How dare you!